We're here today on Country Pocket with Anna Ling. The new album is Light. The song you just heard is called Butterfly. Um, Anna, quite an album. Some of the most unique imagery I've ever heard. Tell me a little bit about your butterfly friend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's incredibly generous words. Um, so the song was written, or the beginning of the song, the part about the butterfly was written when I was on a songwriting retreat and was sat with my guitar um, without too much inspiration coming. And at some point, I noticed something moving. I looked onto my shoulder, and there was this butterfly, and it was doing a little dance. It was doing a little dance like this, and it felt incredibly unusual and spectacular. And but I was like, okay, I'll just go back to my guitar and like have a little look. And at some point, back and realized that actually what had happened was that the tips of its wings had got caught up with cobwebs, because where we were there was a big old barn. And I brought the butterfly onto my hand, and spent a while just gently taking these cobwebs from the butterfly's wings, and managed to take enough of them away that it opened back up again. And I took it outside, and it flew it flew away. And I'm not very good at asking for help. I think it's, part of our hyper individualized culture supports that. And I think, yeah, at the time I felt very, very, like, the experience was of such a huge gratitude for being um, entrusted. I felt like this butterfly had somehow entrusted me with this incredibly delicate task that it needed a being with fingers for. And yeah, so that's the inspiration for the song came from that. And then sat back down, and it more or less the first kind of first section about the butterfly just fell out of me, which doesn't always happen, but did happen in that song.
Yeah, it's got to be a beautiful experience. And for someone like you who seems to value intimate connection with nature, I mean, what a little present. Um,
Yeah.
you you dropped one of the stranger sentences on this one, softly behead me. Um,
Mhm.
what?
I love that you brought that out. It's a line that I think it's a line that I'm slightly sheepish about, in a way. But the I think there's two things I want to say about that line. The first is nature's capacity to just like stop trying to understand and work out, and stop with the mind, and these experiences of, as you say, intimacy with the natural world very much for me support, like, rather than experiencing life from here, like experiencing life from here, or your feet, or your wherever it is, like coming into a more embodied experience of reality. So the softly behead me is on the one part, um just like, yeah, stop it. Stop it with the thoughts, and come more into the body. Um and I think the sheepish part, the second part, which is definitely is probably a bit stranger, is this question that sometimes people ask each other, like, how would you like to die? Um I've always had a weird desire to be beheaded at the end. Kind of like a samurai death, maybe like looking out over a gorgeous sunset or something. If it came to it, would I want it? Probably not. But there's like that small desire in there too.
Wow. Okay.
I kind of want to
Okay.
ask you now but I won't. The interview is this way around.
As far as dying goes, I guess. No, what? I'll take any question, man.
Go what would be your what would be your death of choice?
I don't think it's more, I don't think I have like a method in mind, but I would hope that it came with maybe a little bit of notice, like enough that I could get on the phone and say good farewell, but not enough that I'd like agonize over it. Not
I think
sure.
that's why I quite like the idea of beheading because you know it's coming. You can put it in a diary. You can say your goodbyes, and then there's no like big
Yeah.
drawn out pain. It's
Maybe
like done.
maybe a beheading, but like not one that I knew was coming for a while.
Okay,
But also I'd like something slightly less gruesome. Just
that's so fair.
and I'm gonna try to put it off as long as I can. Um, this
Human.
love is like mycelium, probably the line that I liked the most. This notion of, I guess, an organism that sort of grows beyond all bounds and rules. Like, it's a truly freaky thing if you think about what they are. Um, Mycelium. Explain that one from a biological perspective and sort of your why biology is such a thing in your life.
I'm a like I love the imagery in science. I love science as a creative um way of understanding the world. And I'm less into the kind of like nuts and bolts and more into the kind of like the way these ideas make me feel or like see. So the kind of how like love is like mycelium. Particularly in reference to this, it's like these all of these many small moments of love and connection, and the ways that we can attend our, our human communities and our modern human communities, and that they're like every time we make another um you know little part of the network of love, it sort of feeds the whole thing. um is kind of the feeling of it, and that as this kind of great balancer, it's kind of you use the nutrients of love in this case is kind of fed into it, and it kind of spreads everywhere else. And yeah, that's the feeling behind that line.
Yeah, it's you know they're in interconnectedness of beauty, and you keep it up with the science. My grandmother's grandmas were fishes. Um, I'm hoping you mean a few more generations back than that, but um, you know, it's uh, it's a fascinating thing to think that um, ancestrally speaking, we're not just connected to our family, but the further back you look, it's everyone and then every living thing.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And somehow most of us don't even, for me, there's also a strangeness in, there are cultures around the world where certain, particularly maybe nobility, will know. will know the stories of their ancestors for like innumerable generations. Um, and for most of us, it's like we don't even really know. I almost say my grandmother's grandmas because I don't even really know my grandparents' grandparents. Like that's kind of where the cutoff for so many of us is of like beyond, unless you've done your kind of ancestral history homework. um, so yeah, there's the sense that like I can trace it back, but then there's this just incredible mystery that goes, yeah, like you said, all the way back to oneness, to some like um, you know, cell that's decided to integrate its fellow cell rather than kill it. um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, decided to. I mean, that might be putting it too generously, but it's still just a magnificent thought that like if not for the strangest little things billions of years ago, then what would any of this be? You know? Anyway, um,
And isn't it great mythology? This
yeah,
science as myth, science as poetics.
I hear what you're saying. Like, um, it could be it could be just you know, I guess the truth is probably weirder than most of the myths humankind has come up with over the centuries. I mean, like, honestly, it's less straightforward. It's uh somehow just as beautiful, and you sort of wonder where all these understandings originated from. This is the only myth we can trace, you know. Everything else goes back beyond our ability, and I wish I could have seen some of those moments.
Mm.
Anyway, um, you you have all of this universe spanning beauty. You also um, you involve sexuality right there in that. Um, it's just it seems like part of this natural expression of love to you. Tell me about including some of the more carnal lyrics in this album.
I mean, is sexual connection not one of the most intriguing and strange and wonderful parts of this human experience? Um, and I guess so many of the songs are in some way pertaining to relationship and particularly like romantic sexual relationship. Um, and yeah, and I feel like when it comes to songwriting, mm, it's very revealing. It's very revealing. It's whatever often I won't really know what I think about something um until I can write about it, write a song about it. Not the small things, but like the kind of big, messy, um, churny. elements of life, for me, kind of need to be offer. And and most of the songs come out of challenge, come out of times where I've been, it's been too much. There's been a sense of overwhelm around a situation, and something about the kind of bringing into a song that kind of, um at least contains it. Doesn't contains, maybe is the wrong word, because it's not like, and then it's all within the thing, but at least kind of like creates a container to be able to feel it through. Um, most of my most intense experiences have in some ways been romantic sexual relationships. um, yeah,
So, on this album, you cover the creation of new human life through sexual acts, and you cover the creation of all life on Earth. You cover the creation of the universe. Um, so sort of how tied together are all of those acts, all of those moments?
I think as tied together as you're insinuating. I mean, we experience life through, we have our own, I guess, big bang at the beginning of our own little experiences being human. And
Well, a Big Bang is one way to put it. Hello.
yeah. um yeah, this creative force, I guess, creative force, and it's also, I'd say creativity in general as well is probably in some ways part of that, force in the world of, something else, like something new, something, um or I mean, something new is an interesting, is it, yeah, something new, or something kind of recoddled. um and yeah, we don't get to, in this experience, we don't get to, we don't get to see beyond our however many years we're allotted. um so we don't get the kind of, but we, I guess we understand, probably we understand these things, like the, the formation of the universe, like we understand it through our own little understandings of the formation of ourselves, maybe. I don't know. It's fractal, isn't it? We kind of understand the world in a fractal way. And yeah,
Yeah, it's maybe a new thing that human beings understand the world in a factual way, but perhaps not as new of a thing that we understood it in a spiritual way. Maybe maybe that's fading, but still it still feels nice to hear it all tied together, all so imaginatively. We're gonna hear the moon and then we'll be right back.